This is the Conservative Czar, November 20th, 2015. I'm going to begin doing this on a daily basis to try to make sense of what is going on. There's no one else doing it, so it might as well be me. I am, after all, the Conservative Czar, and I am going to set some things straight. I want to begin on a small point, but it's a huge point, and it affects the Republican primary. And that is, the world has gone past us. Let it go past us. The idea that the United States has an interest in not supporting Russia in Syria and is creating a roadblock by saying that Assad must go. A clear fact that has come out of this 20-year war is that the world was much better when Gaddafi had Libya, when Mubarak had Egypt, this is going to be like an anathema to some people, when Saddam Hussein had Iraq, when Assad had Syria, and indeed when the Shah had Iran. We have learned our lesson here, is that this is not a controllable region. And what is needed is strong secular leaders who can run their own countries and not bother the rest of the world. And that's primarily what these guys were. Now they did have their fingers out there in terrorist activities. We're talking about Gaddafi, who basically stopped being a terrorist 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. Mubarak never was a terrorist. He was a supporter of the United States that we turned our back on, setting a precedent, a horrible precedent. This is Obama, Clinton betrayal of a 25-year ally of the United States. Disgusting. Even Saddam Hussein, as bad a character as he was basically a secularist who kept in control by brutal measures the radical elements of his own country. He did it, and he did it well. The Assad family in Syria did the same thing. The Shah in Iran did the same thing. We are betraying them all, unleashing this anarchy in the Middle East that is a perfect fodder for terrorists. Understand something, that we were better off with these strong secular dictators in charge of these countries than we are today, by a long, long shot. And it goes back to this issue that Russia has the lead in Syria, France, and on France, by the way, France is stepping up to the plate, but let's see them put their troops on the ground in Syria, way before we put ours. They declared war on ISIS. Let them put their troops there. And then we should support them with everything we got. Same thing with Russia. We should be supporting Russia, not tearing it down. How this affects the Republican primaries is that there are people, Fiorina, Rubio, Bush, who are anti-Russian to the hilt. And it is a disaster to promote these people forward. The one guy that makes sense on this, and he does it over and over and over again on issue after issue after issue, is Donald Trump. He is the only person who went out there and said, hey, let the Russians do it, we'll support them. The only person. No one else did it but him. He's been right on so many issues. We wouldn't have an immigration issue at all today if it wasn't for Donald Trump. It's time people started respecting his instinctual political nature. And I do. So Trump is the one guy that's out in front of these issues all the time. And he's the one guy who from the beginning said, let the Russians fight it. We should support them. And that's what should happen. And it's so dangerous for these Bush, Fiorina, Rubio, this idea of this virulent anti-Russian sentiment. They cannot be put forward as a Republican nominee. They cannot. This is the Conservative Czar. See you next time.